We're going to get demonetized, that playing in the background. Did you know that?
I know.
All of our monetization from YouTube.
We're going to lose all those profits.
All of it.
All 17 cents. Welcome back to the Startup Countdown, episode 2.
Yeah.
That was fun, right?
Yes.
Last week? Yeah. I'll admit, we almost wimped out here.
Almost wimped out.
Almost, because we had a pretty lengthy client meeting, and it drained me a little bit. It's Friday, and I don't have a drink in my hand. I've got this Topo Chico, so I got nothing to
I got my water bottle, buddy. I'm ready. I got my hydro flask. I'm hydrated.
All right.
It's kind of fitting now that I think about it, the startup countdown, and we also wait to the last minute on Friday to do it. It's sort of
yeah. It's fun. It's fun.
When are you going to do it? Well, the last hour.
Let's start episodes with a quick recap of the first one.
All right, let's do that.
All right. So what did we do in episode 1?
So episode 1, we worked on LinkedIn.
Yep.
We basically built them a sort of an integrated email platform portal type thing. And the idea was that rather than using a Gmail account as your faux work email or getting a domain, you can use a LinkedIn email account. And they would sort of get into the world of G Suite services and whatnot, domain hosting and that sort of thing, and even video conferencing. So sort of
call it inbox.
Inbox, that's right.
Inbox.
Since Google doesn't have an inbox anymore. So kind of opens it up. Anyway, so that's what we worked on.
If you stumble on this one, go back to episode 1. We kind of walk through how we sort of came up with sort of our ideas for the suite, I guess, for the inbox suite. So yeah, we spent a few minutes talking about it, and then we just we did some UXing live and some brainstorming live, and it was fun.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do today?
So if you remember the last episode, I think we had a good time, and I kind of blurted out an idea that I've been playing with, but I mean, honestly, it's like one of those things that sort of goes in and out of my head, which is around Adobe and how Adobe, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of stuff, and this actually goes for Siri, to be honest, on the Mac is sort of wanting. So my thought was, well, what happens when in 5 years from now, could it be that Adobe and a Creative Cloud and these applications that are around it have some level of voice recognition, some level of artificial intelligence. And the thought is, can you imagine? So the thought is sort of to have an Adobe Assistant while I work.
Ooh.
Right?
Dude, yes.
Right?
Dude, you know who my Adobe Assistant is sometimes? And not often, but anyone in person? You. Dude, what's the damn command for this? Or show me the freaking mask. I haven't been in Photoshop for weeks, right?
Yeah.
Months. Imagine being able to vocalize that.
Right.
Why, even just something as simple as that. Like open my mask or new layer.
Yeah. Or okay, Adobe, export all these artboards.
Or just tell it exactly what you want, right?
Right. Where do you want it?
Give me a H.264 video, at 30 frames per second. Put it in my render queue. Go.
And
then it just off you go.
Yeah.
Dude, that would be sweet.
Right? Because right now you have to sort of go through that whole process of creating an action and record it. And you can import action, so it's not as if this is crazy, but for a lot of people, those sort of specific actions are great if you're doing specific effects. okay, I want to run a series of filters that takes a while, or I'm going to run some weird render type thing that, that takes multiple steps, then yes, that's fine. But I think what I'm talking about more is like just in the efficiency of being optimizing the user experience, because there's a lot of drudgery in this stuff and a lot of tasks that, man, if I could just sort of, I mean, imagine if I'm just working and I'm like, okay, Adobe, find pictures of, cats on a hot tin roof. I don't know what. And it just goes, okay. And it just, in Photoshop, here comes a whole list from, of course it'd be through Adobe stock, but here's a whole thing. Boom. Great. I don't have to like, cause there's the thing too, like when you design, like I use a Wacom tablet. So even like the act of either putting it down and typing and all this kind of stuff, it takes you away.
Disrupts your flow, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many things I think that, again, Adobe sort of has a lot of things. I mean, even like Typekit, could you imagine just saying, okay, Adobe, activate, Futura Bold.
Mm.
And it's like, okay, activated, ready to go,
Dude.
or find me 15 new typefaces or sans serifs, or, activate the most popular 15 sans serif fonts, or take my logo, right, and do it in 10 different styles, improvise, right? And that, I think that's sort of where the AI thing I think can come in. So there's like the assistant part of it, which is like sort of automating different tasks, but then there's the AI, which is help me. What's that?
Pipey?
Pipey. Yes.
We need an Adobe Pipe.
Oh, shoot.
Forgot about Pipey. Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Oh,
yes.
man,
The little paper clip. What would it be? It'd be one of these, a little Wacom with little eyes. Like, what can I help you? Yeah, no. But yeah, so the AI piece I was thinking would be sort of like almost having, this is where I think it gets really interesting. There he is. Do they have a plugin? They have a plugin, a Chrome plugin.
No.
That'll throw it in the bottom right-hand corner
of
your browser. And you can click him and he does dumb stuff. He flips and makes noises.
Shoot.
So, but yeah, so the assistant stuff.
But what you were talking about the AI component.
Yeah.
So are you saying it would, in some ways, it could predict maybe what the next action should be, or what you might do next?
Yes. Or it could even say, look, I see you're doing this a lot. Can I help? And can I duplicate this? Or can I, somewhere along the line, it sort of helps it starts to do things that just take time, but also sort of there's that little level of creativity. For instance, like you could say like, hey, just recolor this artwork, or give me some other color palettes, or, you know what I mean? And it can start to sort of think for you. So it's not like exporting files. It's not a utility. It's actually sort of helping in the design process. I don't know exactly how far we could get with that, but I'd love to think of some stuff, just to kind of throw it out there. Or I guess what I'm trying to say is this, because for what we're really trying to build and think through as putting on our startup countdown, isn't so much figuring out exactly all the possible things that it could do, but how would we sort of bring that into Adobe, and what are some of those experiences like, and how could it be optimized? So that's kind of what I wanted to think about, and it's sort of like, what is that Adobe Assistant sort of do, and how does it work?
I could see that being a so right now we have to have Adobe Creative Cloud, right, running.
Yeah.
And then that manages your apps and your fonts, right?
Yeah. So I have that Creative Cloud.
So aside from apps and fonts, is there another use for that? That's like, I don't use files.
Yeah, there's files, there's stock.
I don't use that.
Behance.
And then learn. I didn't even know that was there.
Yeah, there's some skills.
So I'm wondering if it's something that runs there that you turn on, maybe.
Could be. I actually see it as being a palette. So,
Ooh, okay. Keep talking.
right? So in Photoshop, you have your color palette, your layers, all that stuff, and then like your Adobe Assistant just sits out there. You know, it's just waiting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like your Cortana or whatever, just sitting there, and you can just kind of like, it's got voice, right? You can basically turn the mic on while you work, have a keyword. But what I think, what I want to have happen.
So then let me just throw this out there. So why couldn't this work on any app? New tab. Chrome.
Yeah.
Bookmark.
Well, dude, Siri.
I'm just thinking, just screw right. Siri. Like, forget Siri. Like, what if this was sort of the Google? What is he saying? The Google Home run? What is that?
Google Assistant.
Google Assistant. So imagine if you had the little assistant floating on your Mac. I mean, like that thing, like a picture of that thing, like it's over here hanging out in the corner.
Yeah, yeah.
You just say, "Hey Google," whenever, or you just click it and it does whatever based on the program you have open.
It totally heard you. It totally heard you. I saw it light up.
Yeah. And people are familiar with this thing. I mean, it does everything.
Yeah.
Already, right? Hey Google, turn off The Office.
Uh-oh.
See? Hey Google, turn on The Office. And then watch this. Hey Google, turn on the studio.
Oh.
Hey Google, turn off the studio. Hey Google, open Photoshop. Can't help with that.
Yeah, I can't help you with that.
I don't know. I'm saying, like Photoshop, I get all that.
Yeah.
I would love a panel or a, what do you call it?
Assistant, Adobe Assistant.
No, the little.
Oh yeah, panel. I think that's what they're called.
Yeah, panels.
I'll open Photoshop here and find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, panels. So, yeah, I mean, I could see, because then, just sort of like the Adobe library works, like it's sort of a cross application thing. Because truth is, and this is what annoys this crap out of me with Adobe, is that they almost create their programs in silos. Like some of the keyboard shortcuts don't match. Like there's a whole thing right now with Photoshop. Like if you scale something, you don't press the shift button to constrain proportions, but every other Adobe program does it that way. You have to hold shift, but for some reason Photoshop doesn't. It's completely stupid. So I don't have faith in Adobe to sort of move on this anytime soon because they're trying to still get their keyboard shortcuts all unified. But I do think there's a potential for something like this at some point,
Sure.
But it is surprising. It is surprising that Apple and Siri haven't done that more. I mean, I don't know. Like Apple has started getting into that more with the Siri. Remember now you can. Have you seen it on when you have certain apps? It's like, hey, do you want to activate Siri to help with this app in particular? Have you seen that?
No.
So you can actually almost like teach it skills with certain There's a Siri API for iOS that you can set certain things, and you can say, "Hey Siri, do this," and it will know what app to do that thing in.
Mm-hmm.
So they're starting to do it, but in Mac OS, that's not the case. And so and I just have a feeling like Adobe would be like, "No, we're not letting Apple dictate components into our thing," because at that point too, I guarantee you Adobe sells more PC products than Apple products at this point, subscription wise. So they would want something that's cross platform that they can own versus it's on Apple or Google. So anyway, so with that said, so let's think. So if it was sort of I'm just going to write some stuff down here. So I'm thinking like some sort of panel. It's got some sort of HAL 9000 staring at
Yeah.
you, you know?
Yeah.
Sorry, Dave.
Mhm.
Sorry, Dave. I can't rasterize that.
That is not a smart object.
Yeah. Imagine. You don't know what you're doing. Hire a professional.
Uh-huh. Make the logo pop.
Make the logo bigger.
Bigger.
Bigger. Bigger. You can put on like, yeah, client voice. Like someone,
Be like,
someone
are
like,
you sure?
someone
You start
nagging over
resizing
your
it.
shoulder.
Are you sure about that? You're pulling it.
You are off brand. Warning, you are off brand.
Wouldn't that be something? If Photoshop knew,
That's what I'm saying.
if you were going off brand, like that is not an approved typeface or placement.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
You know, that's actually kind of another. Again, so this is maybe another idea, but imagine if. So I'll give you an example. I used to work on Porsche, and the Porsche world was so structured. There were certain fonts you could use, certain colors you could use. All the layouts were pretty much a template already done, and it was a very standardized thing. It would be very interesting to say, look, when I'm designing right now, I want you to make it like Porsche safe. And so it strips out like anything you can't do in Porsche land, right? So it only activates it only makes these fonts available, this library available. Maybe that's too much. That's kind of weird. But it could be interesting to say, look, run a check. So almost like a brand audit, right? And say, have I used, these are what's approved, like, and you could do it through the libraries, right? So you have the library palette, you have the colors, fonts, objects and stuff in there, and you can say, all right, run an audit. Did I use anything outside of these things? And if I did, tell me. And then it points it out, like, here's the 5 spots where you used the wrong font, or use the wrong style, or it's not H1, it's not in that, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
there's probably something to do there. But anyway, so that's a thought. But again, I think the idea of having some artificial intelligence built into that would make it feel more natural. Because right now, if I did that right now, I wouldn't trust Adobe to make sense of that. It's going to feel like some mealed setting they threw together. That, and they do this all the time. They throw these features that are pretty amazing, but it's like 5 steps to get there. And then they hide it. It's like, well, if you go to this panel on this tool, that panel, pull down right there, there's a button that does this magic thing. You're like, guys, like, seriously, why did you hide it there if it's so important? Yeah. Anyway, well, how much time we have? So we've been talking for what, 20 minutes?
40
minutes.
We got 40 minutes.
Oh, we got 40 minutes left. Okay.
Yeah.
So what should we do? So,
to screw it, like, take a screenshot. All right. Open Photoshop and then take a screenshot of Photoshop and then mock up.
Design on palette.
Yeah, we'll do a little palette.
Let's do that. That's a good little exercise.
Then that might spark some other ideas.
Yeah. All right, so I'll take a picture of some palettes here. And then we can sort of make our own. Yeah, this is meta, dude. We're taking Photoshop into Photoshop. I'm about to get lost.
Photoshop in Photoshop. Man, I remember when I switched from, and this is a long time ago. When I first started working at Cisco, we used PCs, like ThinkPads.
Right.
And it wasn't until, I want to say it wasn't until like several years later that I requested a Mac, but switching Photoshop from Windows to Mac, I remember, was weird at first. Not because anything was drastically different, but do you remember when, and I think It's probably a setting today, but there was no gray background on the Mac
Oh, in Photoshop?
in Photoshop. Like your windows are floating in space.
Yeah. No, you're totally right.
That's super weird. So what are we looking at here?
Oh, I'm just looking real quick to see if I can find an AI. I mean, Adobe would probably create. Imagine this is awful, but it could be like their Creative Cloud,
Mm-hmm.
and then you could morph it into like a brain.
Brain.
But that Creative Cloud logo is actually pretty sick. To be honest with you, I think it could have. Let me find it real quick, because that's what I think that's
Yeah, that logo's cool.
Creative Cloud logo. Because I mean, even if it were doing some sort of animation, because it sort of looks like that thing where it's kind of thinking.
Yep.
Which is something that always bothered me. Like if let's say you're running an app update or something like that, and you have the Adobe Creative Cloud application, the little desktop thing running, like there's no animation for it. So it could be running or syncing or doing all that stuff, and you would never know. Okay, here we go. Is this the actual PNG? No, it's a picture of a PNG. I hate that they figured that out. Like all these companies, they know, like, if we just put a checkerboard gray and checkerboard background, people are going to think it's a PNG that's transparent. Come on. And it takes me to the dark web to download it. Like, now I'm in no man's land.
Mm-hmm.
Cleanpng.com.
Clean PNG.
Seems safe.
Yeah.
And it's not letting me download it because I have like a blocker on it. So it's like, sorry, we can't cram a ton of cookies down your browser's throat right now. Damn it. Hold on. I wonder if there's like what kind of, I guess you could pick the voice too. It has to have a voice.
Yeah, that's true too.
Make it feel like it's got a personality. Okay, so people have probably been staring at this. So I'm just browsing Google images here real quick. So see if I can find this. Free download. Just create an account. Freaking.
Oh, jeez.
All right, I'm gonna try one more time here.
You just trying to get the Creative Cloud logo?
Yeah, just this stupid cloud thing. The C's. Yeah, do a quick look, see if you can find one. Vector. Maybe just get the vector.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I already found it, I think. Yeah.
You did?
Yep. Here.
Slack it.
Slack it.
Brand EPS. There's another site. I remember back in the day, dude, there was a site called Brands of the World.
Dude, it's still there.
Is it?
Yes.
That was
I
like
used it.
game changer.
Yep. Dude, I think I got a lot of the artwork for some of those t-shirts we did.
Dang. That's awesome. Yeah, here it is. Okay. So, but yeah, dude, what's crazy is like when I was in college, that had just come out. And dude, it changed our lives because we're doing all we did every day was work on fake ads for companies. And so if you showed up with an ad that had like a clean logo, clean, sharp, it totally sold it. Because otherwise you'd have to sit and scan it, and you're like, oh, you could just tell right away that you couldn't find the actual thing. But Brands of the World, and it was all vector stuff, man. They didn't care.
Yeah. It was
All
awesome.
right. So I mean, maybe we just take one of these because this has some nice panels here. We can can you see any of that? So you can sort of take,
yeah.
We got like 3 rows we can sort of do options for. And then maybe this has sort of, maybe we do like sort of the Siri effect.
Yep.
So let's do this real quick. Dude, I'm telling you, it's going to get crazy because I'm trying to see where my artboard ends and my real palettes exist. So I'm just going to do like the quintessential like rainbow, like it's the gradient blend.
Gradient blend.
Right? So I'm just going to color here like that and then just mask it to this. There you go. Probably should lighten it a little bit. I'll do like a blue, like a light blue. Come on. Maybe I didn't press hard enough.
Now is the assistant going to tell you if you're on brand?
Dude, it's probably gonna. Here's what it's gonna do. It's gonna plug into. They're gonna sell their shit out to who is it? Corbis or no Getty. They're gonna sell out to Getty, and they're gonna be like, they're gonna be like, you are in violation of trademark law. You are not authorized to use that logo. Cease and desist. Like it's instead of sending you, it just automatically sends you an email. Like,
yeah, because it has your email.
Yeah, it's like you're already in trouble. Do not save that file.
Or if it refuses to save or export.
Yeah, it's like no, that's in violation of U.S. copyright law. Adobe has been notified. Lawyers have been notified.
Jeez.
You know it's coming, dude. A friend of mine, Ed, he got sent a letter from Adobe for using. He used a not Adobe, Getty, for using a photograph in one of his spec ads. Again, this is in his portfolio, so it's not published. It's not work that he's directly actually making money off of. But he got this letter for damages. They wanted to sue him for like $7,000 or something ridiculous. And he's like, the hell am I going to do? So he actually looked online and he found some like lawyer that fights that stuff. So he was all right. And they just basically sent a letter saying, screw off. Let's see, screen maybe. Yeah, multiply. Anyway, you get the idea.
Yep.
And what would be cool too is if it's sort of like, it sort of was sort of thinking as you're working. You can kind of, you know what I mean? It's sort of like, what does that? What sort of like Siri, like it's instead of it listening.
Where's that website that had that robot? That was like a one page.
Oh yeah. What was that called? And we signed up for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that called? It was a meeting automator. I think I had to delete the account because it wasn't working. Okay. Well, but I know the agency that did it, Character, did it. Let's find it. Here, I'll share my whole screen so people aren't lost. Character agency, Character SF. Yeah, these guys are cool. Let's see. Pretty sure it was in here somewhere. All right. Wait, Navigator. There it was.
Yeah, Navigator.
There he is.
There he is.
Yeah, I mean, this is a little.
I thought he moved around.
Oh, it is. This is their page. So here's, I'll load the character or the navigator.com. Yeah, here. And that's slick. So maybe it does. Maybe this is sort of like what we do. We kind of make it follow you around. Because look, I mean, imagine I'm over here and I'm designing, and it's like it's just staring at my mouse.
Yeah.
And what if it just shakes its head?
It's like, is it?
Like, no. Like this, like it does this, and it looks down, like you suck. Oh shoot. Yeah, I wish this guy talked. He should have something. I mean, the looking around and blinking is pretty cool, but no, what's nuts, dude, is this is rendered. This is rendering right now. It's not. Yeah. It's not an animation at all. It's kind of OpenGL. All right. So maybe you're onto something. Maybe it isn't this sort of like corporate weird thing. It's more of it has more of a human tone to it. After I spent all that time on the coloring. All right. So we got this thing, and then what are some of the things that we would sort of put in here? Like, I mean, I kind of see it being.
So are you thinking like preset functions? Or
probably, right? I mean,
what does Siri even do on your Mac?
Here, I'll fire her up here. The problem is, again, this is like Apple's Achilles heel, is they're like closed ecosystem. So I'm sure if I wanted to check on my Safari tabs, it would let me do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to. All right. So I got it open now. Let's see. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
So here she goes. Okay. Some things you can ask me. Show my downloads folder. Make the screen brighter. How fast is my Mac? Launch photos. What is Apple stock price? What time is it in Berlin? So, I don't know. I mean, again, like if you use Notes or Safari or Apple Books, great.
Yep.
If you want to navigate Apple's own ecosystem, fine. If you have no work to do, great. And you want to FaceTime someone, awesome. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think that that's really the solve. All right. But it does stick up here. So see that? So it says, here, let me ask her something.
Yeah, mine's stuck up there. I never use it.
Yeah, I normally turn it off. What time is it? Can you hear
4:06. We got 24 minutes.
What day is it? I don't think it's hearing me. That's the problem. I think because the conference thing is taking over. Okay.
I thought you were asking me.
No, I was trying to get you to pick up.
Oh, let's see if mine will. What time is it?
It's 4:07 p.m.
What's the weather?
Here's the weather today.
Here. And then you read it back.
Here. Read for your damn self.
Read it for yourself. Open Photoshop.
Did it do it?
No, it just hung.
Let's see. That's the problem. It's like I'm not gonna do anything outside of my tight little Apple ecosystem.
Oh, it did open.
Oh, it did. Well, shut my mouth.
But it would have been faster for me to just click it. I had to think about it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So to me, it's got to be like I'm never gonna go like, okay, Adobe, open or select the pointer tool. Okay, Adobe, select the brush tool. Like that's too much, dude. That's what your keyboard's for.
Yeah.
You know. But I don't know. There's just something. I guarantee there's got to be some way to sort of use a voice assistant with what we're doing.
Yeah.
Let's see here. What do you think their font is?
Let me see.
Is it? I'm just thinking some Lucida Grande. It's kind of like one of the early. That almost looks right.
That's pretty close. Just tighten up the.
Some of these old fonts.
Yeah, that looks like a Adobe from 10 years ago.
Yeah, well, that was the last time they updated this thing.
You know what? That's kind of what my big question at the beginning of this is: have they really innovated other than making it subscription based?
No. In fact, let me say this. Like this goes to so you know, in the video game industry, have you ever seen that? There's a chart that's like Grand Theft Auto, right? Rockstar. Like, dude, they put out a Grand Theft Auto 1, 2, 3, you know, like 4, 5, like every other year or so there was a Grand Theft Auto. And then there's like Grand Theft Auto 5 and then like subscription service thing. And then like, that's it. Like that was the last one they made because they don't have to
update it.
You know,
they just update it at free will, right?
Sorta.
Or they just don't
change that. You don't get new. I don't think. I mean, they probably have expansion packs and stuff, but they haven't sat down and said we're gonna do a new version of this game. They're just adding to the one they've got. You know. Now, in their defense, I think they came out with Red Dead 2, which is pretty damn amazing. So it works. That's okay. But still, it's like there's that whole thing of like once they figure out how to make the money, they just sort of they're like, why go anymore? Why try harder than we have to? Or we'll spend our attention on other things. All right, so now we have some sort of whacked out Adobe Assistant that's thinking. I almost want to look for a HAL 9000, but that's dumb. All right, so what are we going to do now? We got to come up with some options and stuff here, right?
Yeah. So this thing is just listening, right? That's the idea. Or do you have to trigger it like you do? Probably have to trigger it, right?
Probably.
Otherwise, there's going to be issues with it's just always recording.
Right, and it's out. Yeah, I mean the keyword thing is pretty genius because that way it doesn't have to send everything you say forever. So yeah, sort of like an OK Adobe, but there should be like the basic stuff would be some way to mute. So you're like turn it off.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just write some stuff here. So some sort of mute button. Here, put this on top.
Yeah, maybe there's a little settings or a little gear thing.
Yeah.
Where you can select your audio source, like a headset.
Yeah.
Something like that. What about like teaching at things? Like or it should always be doing that, right? Just following what you're doing.
Yeah, I kind of think so. I mean, maybe there's sort of like skills like Alexa,
Mm-hmm.
So you can sort of imagine that's kind of an interesting idea too. Like even because there are a lot of Adobe actions that exist. So it could be something where you sort of add that in there somewhere. Like you can say, hey, look, if I have an action, then obviously I can call it out. But imagine having like Adobe Assistant actions that do other things, like we're saying, like, but also string it together, like create a new document with 3 artboards for 3 different banner sizes.
Or open my whatever preset. Like if you have something saved.
Yeah.
No, actually what you said is more convenient. Because then you already have in your head, right?
Maybe. You could say open up a new document for iPhone 10.
Right. And right now there's too many clicks involved to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's
not too many, but it's not efficient. Like if you could just say it.
Not as efficient as saying it out loud.
What if this thing when it launched, when you came back to it, said like automatically listen for like 5 seconds or something? Like what can I do or what can I help you with?
If what happened?
Like let's say you fire up Photoshop.
Uh-huh.
And by default you have it, and maybe it's a setting, but it asks you, what can I help you with? Like right off the bat.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it introduces itself almost. Like it says it. How can I help? And you're like, create a new document or open an old document or open my most recent document, or show me my most recent documents. And it's like, all right, which one do you want? Number 2. All right. Opens it.
What's funny is that we're calling this the startup countdown, and that we still categorize Adobe as a startup. I mean, LinkedIn kind of made sense.
I guess so. Yeah. No, I don't know why. I mean, it is kind of funny that we're calling it the startup countdown.
So yeah. So maybe we'll get to some real startups next week.
Well, the truth is that we work on startups all day, so it's sort of like this is a little bit of a nice departure.
Or we're treating it as if they were a startup.
That's the truth right there.
That's it.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, and I was reading, there's this term, they call it the founder's dilemma. I think, no, not founder's dilemma, the innovator's dilemma. Have you heard of this?
No.
And I learned, I was reading about it the other day as they were talking about Tesla, and they were saying that the innovator's dilemma is that if you look at sort of the standard issue with Tesla versus, say, GM, they said that the problem is that for GM to change from internal combustion vehicles to electric vehicles requires obviously shifting a lot of resources, and they wouldn't, that kind of company wouldn't say, hey, we're just going to double down on we're going to hire an all new team of engineers to do electric, and we're going to keep all of our engineers on combustion, right? Because then you're all of a sudden you've doubled your R&D, and your capital expenses shoot way up. So what typically happens is they'll want to scale one down and then bring the other one up, right? Sort of do a transition. The problem is that means like turning down the thing that makes you the money. And for the most part, a lot of businesses, that's why you have a lot of businesses that go bankrupt and go restructure, because they can't wind this down and move this up fast enough. And so they just slowly go out of business before they can make that transition. And so what sort of the solution, I guess there's books written on this, but essentially the idea is that that's why innovators are so important, because they can come in and build something from the ground up the right way and not deal with those legacy issues. So in some cases, I think it just it makes sense that these younger companies are more nimble. And I think for Adobe, what we're saying here is that they should be sort of thinking about this. They should be innovating in this way. Because if they're not, there's startups around them that are nimble. And, Sketch and all that stuff, like the only reason XD exists is because of Sketch. If Sketch never existed, then XD would never have existed. So they're having to respond already. And they're slow to get there. I still think the XD team is probably like 10 dudes in a room. That's it. But they're working hard. I give them that. Okay, so
10-minute warning.
So what?
10-minute warning.
All right. Well, guys, this is it.
It's the final countdown.
Thanks for joining us on another fun-filled day. I don't know what to put here for these
50 minutes you'll never get back.
Yes, sorry guys. Yeah, if you have a better idea, please save us. Tell us just to stop.
The cool thing about this pen, it can be used for like we were talking about exporting videos, right? Like Premiere or After Effects.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's that sort of component to it. And I could see something too. I'm just throwing it out here, but Google Assistant has a sort of smart feature in that it tells you what it's done, right? So that you're like, okay, it'll so maybe
turned off 2 switches.
What's that?
Yeah, it tells, like when I do the turn off the studio thing.
Yeah,
it says turned off 2 switches.
Right, or it'll say it in, like, if you use it on your phone. So if I say like export files to JPEG, it'll say, okay, you said export files to JPEG.
Oh, I see.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then like its reply is, say files have been exported to JPEG. So it's sort of like, it's like a conversation. So you're actually, it's like a chat.
Mm.
Does that make sense? So you can track what's happening. And
yeah,
then you
put
probably
put your little avatar there
yeah,
from Adobe Cloud.
my Adobe Cloud one. Is it up here? No, hold on.
Yeah, it's up in the tray next to the little bell.
Oh yeah. It's the final countdown. Oh, now what did I do? I'm just gonna, dude. I'm gonna wireframe this. What am I doing? I don't have time for. We're rapid prototyping here.
Rapid.
Got to keep it rapid. So that'll be my picture here. Fill. Oh, it's the same color. Yeah. So it's some sort of conversation here. Ah. This is embarrassing.
Oh man, what are you doing?
Just putting the Adobe Cloud because it's the one. They're taking turns.
Yep.
There you go. It's avatar. Okay. Files have been exported to JPEG. And this way too, it can even follow up. Like it could be like, where do you want to save them?
Mm-hmm.
Save them to the desktop. Save them to that. And then it could say, okay, I'll say that like, where do you want them exported to? Because that would be the next question.
Yeah.
And then you can say, make this a group. Where do you want the desktop?
Desktop.
And then it's just like, okay, done, right?
Yeah.
What if it was like had some tude? That's one thing I wish. I don't know. I've got for a long time. I had John Legend as my Google Assistant voice. Did you ever do that?
No. How do you do that?
Tell it to talk like a legend.
Hey Google, talk like a legend.
Did it do it? Or speak like a legend, something like that.
Hey Google, talk to me.
Okay, here goes. I'm your.
Hey Google, talk like a legend.
Hi, John Legend here. I lent my voice to your Google Assistant so you can hear me do things like answer your questions, brief you on the weather, and tell jokes while the regular assistant voice handles the rest. Let's have some fun.
Jeez.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And it's kind of spooky because it does sound like him.
Yeah.
Tell him to tell you a joke.
Do you have to dictate his name again?
No, it should be set.
Hey Google, tell me a joke.
What do clouds wear under their shorts?
Oh, that's weird.
Thunderpants.
What other celebrities do they have?
I think that's it.
Is it just him?
I think it's just him for now. But what's crazy is I shouldn't say crazy, but if you tell him like when he's sort of set as your voice, he'll be like tell me a joke, and they're all music jokes, and some of them he'll actually sing, which is really weird. You're like, how in the heck? How do they do that?
We're going to be in an era of deep fakes pretty soon.
Dude, big time. Big time.
Yep.
Dude, you know what? That's another one we should do. I have an idea for a deep fake startup.
Oh, shoot.
I don't know if I want to
All
give
right.
it away because those guys, I want to reach out to them first and give them a chance to have it. But if they say nah, then we're going to do
We'll just put it out
a
there.
countdown on it. Also, the other one too, we talked about, we've got a startup. I don't know. Again, what is a startup? Well, I'd sort of put it in, it's a beverage company.
Mm.
Trying to do
Yeah.
carbonated coffee.
Did that guy come by?
Not yet.
Oh.
But I was talking to some people and they were telling me a little bit about it. It's kind of an East Coast thing a little bit. And sounds kind of interesting. Sounds kind of interesting. All right, 3 minutes, right?
Yep.
All right, what else do you want? So we have the dictation here.
Yep.
Sort of a mute button. I don't know. Let's see.
I guess the settings would be in the little.
Yeah. So you'd sort of, maybe what we have here is like, let me get rid of this real quick. Hold on. There should be some little settings that we can throw in here.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something about like add actions or something, or
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. Add actions.
Yeah, because I mean, if it's AI, it's going to learn on its own, but adding actions to it is like teaching it.
Teaching it, right? Yeah, because you're going to be like, what does it know? You're going to kind of want to manage that.
Right. Cool. I'd use that panel right now.
Yeah. I mean, in this, again, so this would be like phase one, which is just like having it do the actual actions built into Photoshop, right? So, if you want to run convert to smart filters, okay, Adobe, convert to smart filters. And it would just take it for you. The other side of it would be actually having it perform like some actually intelligent things, like, pick out, like I said, fonts, try different color schemes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It could even like give you alternate layouts, do masking. Even imagine saying, "Hey, cut this person out."
Time's up, but this is how we're going to wrap it.
All right,
you're going to tell it. You're going to have a layout. You're going to say, "Make it mobile."
No, like you said, make it pop.
Make it pop. That's it right there.
Make it just deletes everything.
It'll
quits.
Delete. Yeah, but imagine now if this thing gets super smart. You know how they remember that thing we went to the AT&T Shape and they did the that robot, that AI thing made a script.
Yes.
Imagine having your AI design something.
Ooh.
From scratch. Based on.
Why do you do that every time, dude?
That's how we're gonna end it.
Oh, then you just put everyone else out of work, right?
Yeah.
What do you? Yeah. Tell me what you want, and it's gonna design it for you just by listening to what you have to say. Make the logo bigger. No, bigger. No, bigger. Give me a photo. Put it there. Lower. To the right. To the right. No.
Ah, man.
Dude,
Happy Friday. That's how we always drop the mic.
that's good. I love it.
See you next week.
All right. Peace out.
Later.
Hello, Jason. How can I help you get started today?
Open a new document for the iPhone.
Sure thing. Opening a new document for iPhone 10. Would you like me to autosave this document while you work on it?
Yes.
Will do.
Okay, Adobe. Help me search for images.
Sure. What kind of images are you looking for?
The Los Angeles skyline.
I've found some images of Los Angeles skyline. I've noticed that you're creating an app. Would you like me to generate guides recommended by Apple?
Sure.
Done. Would you like me to create paragraph styles based on the most common text styles you're using?
Yes, please.
Complete. You can edit them anytime in the paragraph styles palette. It looks like you're running out of space on your artboard. Want me to extend it for you?
Sure. Go ahead.
Sure thing.
Okay, Adobe. Give me some alternate fonts.
Here are 10 alternate font choices based on your original typeface.
Okay, Adobe. Export.
Sure. Where would you like me to export the files to, and at what quality?
Save them to the desktop at 80%.
Done. I've exported your files to the same folder as the PSD file at 80% fidelity.